exploring the timeless relevance of Shakespeare's masterpieces with Michael Socrates Moran. Let me say a few words about Michael. He's the founder and artistic director of the Oakland Theater Project. He's an award-winning director and actor who's directed over 20 classics and world premieres. He's acted professionally in 3 cities, Boston, New York, and Chicago, and now we have him here in the Bay Area. Michael, we're ready for you.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well on the Zoom world. So I've taught this class before with different plays at Ollie, and one of the things that I try and do is pick plays that might have some relevance to what's happening right now. And one of the questions that we ask is, like any director, is why do this play now? And in asking that question, we are also asking this question about why these plays have inspired artists for 500 years. What is happening inside of these works by William Shakespeare that somehow speaks to our eternal nature and the cycles that we repeat again and again and again as human beings. So there will be some allusions to, what has happened in our world in 2020 and into 2021, but it's less about a one-to-one comparison, and it's more about what are these underlying patterns that Shakespeare is getting at about the human soul, the human spirit, and society, and the way in which they conflict. And so my take on it is as an actor and as a director. And so one of what I hope to do is sort of unearth parts of the script that offer this inspiration and dig into the choices that artists make and why a director or an actor is so thrilled and can work on Shakespeare, for an entire career, entire lifetime. So in this class, the plays we're looking at are Richard III, Measure for Measure, Merchant of Venice, and The Tempest. And they're very different plays, but underlying them all, I think, is each play is reaching for what is it to reorder society and find justice in very different ways. And I'll talk just a little bit about one of them. And the way I go through it is I try and be as animated as I can on Zoom. And I talk through each parts of the play and then talk about choices that a director might make, what Shakespeare was going after, and the way in which form and content relate. So I like to say that a masterpiece is when the form, whether that's film, as you've heard before, or in this case, theater, and content, which is the writing of the play, are somehow having an ongoing conversation. And one of the reasons why Shakespeare continues to endure is because a lot of his plays do that quite brilliantly. Richard III is sort of a case in point. There's so much about Richard III that is not just a Machiavellian figure trying to get power, which is very much what the content of the piece is about, but he's also an actor on stage, enjoying the performance of what he's doing. And even in the psyche of Richard III, so much of it is about him needing to see himself as an actor playing that part. So much so that once he actually gets the crown, he can no longer play the part that he played before, which is the person striving to get it. And that's part of the tragedy of the play and part of his downfall. So that's kind of just a brief overview of how we'll talk about it. But I hope to be able to also offer why these plays might help us make meaning out of our lives. And my, undergirding agenda is that theater has a place to play in our world today for us to make sense of what might feel, discombobulating or chaotic. And it allows us to give form to our own experiences. The famous line, of course, in Hamlet is it's a mirror up to our own nature. And I think that's a lot of what Shakespeare is putting forward and can continue to offer us even now. And the question for us is, how are we to read it anew? The last class I taught, it's just worth mentioning, you read, we didn't do this one, but let's say Romeo and Juliet. And then that first prologue, there's that famous line, a plague on both your houses. Well, probably before we all just experienced COVID, we may have heard that line a little bit differently than we do now. And similarly, Lear was written during a pandemic, during a plague. So there's things like that the way we see the play is made anew depending on the cultural lived experience that we're in. And I hope to be able to offer that with these 4 plays as we go through. So I'll leave it there. Hopefully that was a succinct and helpful overview for you all, but I'm thrilled to be back here and getting to express and share my passion about Shakespeare with you all.
Thank you, Michael.